All right, so it looked like we're diving into board games today.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, more specifically, we're looking into this game called Perspectives. Have you heard of it?
I have, yeah, I've heard of it. I haven't actually got a chance to play it yet, though.
Okay, well, we're going to be talking about the Blue Box edition specifically.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so if you're out there and you're thinking about maybe picking this up, or you're just curious about like what makes it unique or different,
Yeah.
then this is the deep dive for you.
Yeah.
We've, like we always do, we dug through a bunch of online info.
Right.
And just from what I'm seeing already, this game looks like a really interesting mix of like history and mystery
Interesting.
and teamwork, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's a good combo.
It is a good combo. And the best part is, apparently you're solving this mystery without actually like showing your cards. Literally.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Right. That is interesting.
So, I mean, right off the bat, I'm kind of intrigued, but maybe we should take a step back for a second and just kind of like, for anyone who's totally unfamiliar with the game, can you give us a little bit of a rundown of like what Perspectives is like at its core?
Yeah, absolutely. So Perspectives is what's called a cooperative game. So that means instead of playing against each other, everyone is actually working together towards a common goal.
Gotcha. So it's all about like shared success, not like...
Exactly. It's about the experience and the journey together.
Cool. I like that.
Less about, who wins or who loses. It's about everyone succeeding or failing together.
Okay. So let's see. Looking at the product description here, it says it's for 2 to 6 players, ages 12 and up, and that each game takes around 90 minutes.
That's a good chunk of time.
It's a good chunk of time. I mean, do you think that hints at maybe like a more complex game, something with a little more meat on its bones?
Yeah, I would say so. Definitely. I mean, 90 minutes suggests that there's some, real depth to the decisions that you're making and to the interactions.
Right.
It's probably not just like a roll the dice and move type of game.
Right.
There's probably more to it than that,
Makes sense.
which, personally, I really enjoy. I like games that make you feel like you're really like digging in and
Right.
collaborating to solve something.
Like a puzzle, almost.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got this teamwork aspect, and it sounds like it's got some, intriguing mysteries, but one thing that really stood out to me when I was kind of looking through the info was how the game handles information.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's this whole, like, information is power kind of thing,
Right.
but with this, like, secret twist. What's that about?
Yeah, so from what I understand, each player gets different pieces of the puzzle. So it might be clues or photos, reports, something like that. But the catch is you can't just like lay all your cards on the table.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So how are you supposed to solve this mystery if everyone's holding back these crucial pieces of information? Well, that's the real challenge, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's where I think the fun comes in. Like, imagine you're looking at a crime scene photo,
Yeah.
but you can only describe it to your teammates using metaphors or riddles. Like, can you get them to understand the significance of what you see
Wow.
without actually revealing the image itself?
That's a challenge.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thinking that Perspectives demands.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like it could lead to some pretty hilarious misunderstandings along the way, too.
Oh, absolutely. And, it makes you think about how we communicate in real life, right? Like, we often have to convey important information without revealing all the details, whether we're brainstorming at work or trying to explain a complex idea to someone.
Yeah, you don't want to give everything away.
Exactly. And I think this game really forces you to think strategically about how you communicate.
So it's not just about solving the mystery in the game. It's almost like building these real-world communication skills.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty cool.
I think so.
I like that a lot. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm definitely intrigued so far.
Me too.
Let's dig a little deeper into some of the other aspects of the game.
Okay, sounds
See
good.
what else we can uncover.
Yeah, I'm curious to learn more. And it's like, think about it, like at work, right? Have you ever been on a project where everyone kind of has like a piece of the puzzle, but nobody really have that full picture?
Oh yeah, for sure.
You have to like really rely on each other
Yeah.
to like kind of share those insights and like piece things together,
Right. Yeah, and like figure out how to communicate what you know
Exactly.
without giving too much away.
Right.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
And that's what this game seems to do, is like it really forces you to do that.
It reminds me of that classic story about the blind men and the elephant.
Oh yeah.
Where each one is like touching a different part, and they come up with a completely different idea of what an elephant is. Yeah.
Right. And none of them are really wrong.
Right. Exactly.
They just have a limited perspective.
And it's only by like combining their perspectives that they can even get close to
Yeah.
like
the truth.
the truth of what an elephant is.
That's a really powerful lesson, I think.
It is, and it's funny because even the product description actually calls out the educational value of the game.
Oh, interesting.
It's like they're not even shying away from that.
Yeah.
It's not just entertainment. They're like, hey, this is going to help you build critical thinking skills.
Right, like you're actually learning something while you're playing.
Exactly, and teamwork.
Yeah, crucial skills.
Which, I mean, those are important not just for kids but for adults too.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. We're bombarded with information these days.
On
from all sides.
All the time.
It's more important than ever to be able to kind of like analyze information.
Right.
To think critically, to really separate fact from fiction, you know?
To determine the source, all of that.
And to do that all while working effectively as a team.
Right, which is a whole other challenge.
It's huge.
Huge.
Respecting different opinions, coming to a shared solution. I mean, that's not easy.
No, it's not. And I can see how a game like this would be a really fun and engaging way to like practice those skills.
Definitely. Yeah, and it takes the pressure off too, because you're all in it together.
Yeah.
You know, there's no single winner or loser.
That's true.
So it encourages a more collaborative and supportive environment, I think.
Right, so it's not like turning people against each other.
Exactly.
It's like, hey, we're all on the same team here.
We're all in this together.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So we did find a couple of customer reviews online.
Oh, cool.
On the Asmodee website.
Okay.
One player, her name's Danielle, she gave it a thumbs up. She seemed to really enjoy it.
Awesome.
But she did mention that the cases were like a bit on the easier side, especially compared to another edition, which I guess we'll have to deep dive into another time, called Perspectives Orange Box.
Oh, okay. So there's like different boxes, different
levels maybe, or
different levels. Okay.
Yeah, she even suggested starting with the blue box if you're new to the game.
Oh, okay. So maybe it's like an introductory level.
Yeah, that was my take. Like it's maybe like a good entry point
Makes sense.
into the world of perspectives.
Yeah, like a good mystery series, right? You might start with an introductory case before you move on to the more complex ones.
Right, exactly.
So it sounds like the blue box could be a good place to start.
Yeah, exactly. The other review that we saw was from his name was Caleb, and he actually seemed to like this blue box even more.
Oh, wow.
Than the first one that he played.
Interesting.
Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, so maybe it just depends on the person.
Yeah, and he mentioned he loved playing it with his family, which I thought was really cool.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah. Family game night,
Yeah, definitely.
solving mysteries together.
Yeah, it sounds like the kind of game that can spark some really interesting conversations.
Right.
Maybe some friendly debates around the table, you know.
For sure.
Get people thinking.
Reading those reviews, it really it made me think about how subjective the experience can be.
Oh, for sure.
Like what one person finds easy, another might find super challenging.
Absolutely.
And then someone who just loves like a good brain teaser might crave that extra level of difficulty.
Right, yeah. Everyone's looking for something different.
Exactly.
And that's where personal preference comes in, right? Like some people thrive on those mind-bending puzzles and others prefer a more, relaxed and collaborative experience.
Right. They just want to like have fun with their friends and family.
Exactly.
Yeah, and not feel like they're,
Taking a test or something.
see the SATs all over again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it sounds like maybe the blue box is a good starting point. Yeah. And then if you find yourself wanting more of a challenge, you can always, level up to the orange box later.
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So we've talked about the teamwork. We've talked about the information sharing, the mystery, like the educational value, the different levels of difficulty.
Yeah.
I'm really starting to get a good sense of what this game's all about, but I'm kind of curious, like how does all of this tie back to, the real world?
Yeah.
Like why should anyone care about this? I mean, it's like anything, really, right? Like books, movies, even news articles.
Right, yeah.
Everyone kind of brings their own like background and experiences to the table, and that like shapes how they interpret things.
Definitely. Yeah, it's a good reminder that there's rarely just one right answer,
Especially when it comes to something as subjective as entertainment.
Exactly.
It's all about finding, what resonates with you.
Right, exactly.
And your group and what you enjoy.
Cookie.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of different interpretations, I want to circle back to the game's like central mechanic for a second. That information is power, but keep it secret thing.
Right.
Doesn't that kind of mirror how we often encounter information in real life?
Oh, 100%.
Especially online.
Especially online, yeah.
It's like, think about social media.
Oh, yeah.
We're constantly being like bombarded with these snippets of information, often out of context.
Right, just like little bits and pieces.
Yeah, and it's like everyone's holding like a few cards from this much larger deck, and we're all trying to figure out what the game is.
Exactly.
Without seeing like the full picture.
Yeah, and it's so easy to get caught up in that, right? Like you see a headline or a tweet.
Right, and you're like, oh, I know everything about this now.
Exactly.
And it's like, no, you don't. You've only seen like one tiny piece of the story.
Yeah, and that's such a powerful metaphor, I think, for how we consume information these days.
So it's almost like Perspectives isn't even just a game.
Yeah.
It's like this commentary on how we process information, how we form opinions in like the digital age.
Right, and how much we rely on others to fill in those gaps in our knowledge.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I think it also it makes you think about like the importance of being aware of our own biases, right? And to actively seek out different perspectives.
To not just live in your own little echo chamber.
Exactly.
That's really powerful.
I think so, yeah.
So as you're out there thinking about whether Perspectives Blue Box is the right game for you, maybe ask yourself this, like how do you approach information in your own life?
That's a good question.
Yeah. Do you take the time to gather different viewpoints before you form an opinion? Or do you tend to just like rely on that limited information that's readily available?
It's definitely something to think about, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
I think this has been a I think this has been a really fascinating deep dive.
Yeah, me too.
I've learned a lot about perspectives.
I think we've uncovered some pretty interesting stuff.
We have, and it really highlights the importance of collaboration, critical thinking.
Oh, those are such valuable skills.
They are.
Yeah.
More valuable now than ever before, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this deep dive has given you a clearer perspective on perspectives, pun intended.
I see what you did there.
We've uncovered its unique mechanics, explored its educational value, and even touched on its potential to spark some really interesting, thought-provoking conversations, around the dinner table.
Yeah, I love that about it. And it's a good reminder too that sometimes those most interesting mysteries are solved not by just individuals working alone,
Right.
but by people working together,
Yeah.
sharing their knowledge, combining their insights.
The power of teamwork. All right, well, on that note, until next time, keep those minds open, those perspectives shifting, and remember, there's always more to discover when we dive deep together.
I love it. See you next time.